Here is a quick demonstration of drawing parallel lines. Let's just say you needed to have a line that was 4.5 inches from the end of the board. When you draw that, it's very important, a lot of times when we're building, that those lines be perfectly parallel, just like math class. You don't want that line to be a little crooked. You don't want it to point in or be at an angle. You need it to be perfectly parallel for some reason or another. There are a lot of different tools that can make that super easy. You can put a speed square on it after you've measured, and then you know that that line is 90 degrees. There's also carpenter squares that allow you to get a 90-degree mark, and even those can look different. But let's just say you don't have one of your squares handy. What are you going to do? You can do it with just a tape measure. So let's say 4.5 inches in, we need a parallel line. So the way to do that is I'm going to go near the top of my board and put a little mark at 4 1/2. Now, you could take a straight edge at this point and trace that line, but if you do that, you don't really have a way of knowing if it's perfectly straight yet. You need a second mark. So I put that mark up high. Now I'm going to put the second mark down low at 4 1/2 at exactly the same spot. And now you can take a straight edge and line up both of those marks very carefully and hold your ruler down and draw that line. And now you know that you have a line that is perfectly parallel to the end of the board. So that's the way to do that. And it works on any scale. We don't usually do that on a 2x4, but if you're working on a big piece of plywood, an 8-foot by 4-foot sheet, and you've got to cut a line that's 3 feet down, you can mark 3 feet over at the top, but you can't just start cutting because you never know. Are you going to go off at an angle and then it's 3.5 feet, 3 feet 1 inch? You need that to be perfect. So it would work on a piece of plywood the same way. Let's say you come over that far. Well, I came over 7 inches on this smaller board. If I put a second mark down lower, that's exactly the same spot. I then have what I need to do to line it up here and to line it up down there very carefully, right on those marks that I drew, to draw that line that I now know is perfectly parallel to the edge of the board. That's a critical thing. An extra bonus tip is every once in a while you'll come across a board, especially if you pick one up off the ground on a job site, that maybe this isn't a 90-degree angle, a perfect 90-degree angle. Maybe it's actually a 87-degree angle. Maybe it didn't get cut straight by somebody else. When that happens, even your speed squares won't exactly work, because they'll ride the bottom edge of that board, and oh no, now those aren't parallel anymore. So you really want to keep a good eye on how straight your corners are, how straight the edges of your board are. And if you pick a board up off the ground, you want to make sure that, hey, you might not be able to take a speed square to measure that perfectly because of a little hinky-jink cut in the wood in a funny way. So be aware of your wood. Ooh, look at this even. So if you pick a board up off the ground, you always kind of need to be aware of, ooh, there's a little bump here. So if you do have a speed square, that won't be able to draw a parallel line off that edge because it doesn't sit straight. Those aren't parallel over here. Or sometimes your 90-degree corner might actually not be 90 degree. It might not be straight. So I couldn't measure, in this case, 3 inches in over here and 3 inches in over here and draw that line because of how this board was originally cut somewhere else. That line is not 90 degrees. You can see let me see, get the light on it. There we go. You can see it's not a 90-degree line, even though that is 3 inches and that is 3 inches down there, because that corner isn't a perfect 90 degrees. It's not perfectly 90 degrees. your parallel lines like that won't be 90. So this is a board that if I wanted to use it, I'd draw this line right here. I know that's straight. I can cut this here. Now I can go cut that line on a saw, and then I know I'll have my 90-degree angle back. But that's bonus information. One more time, drawing a parallel line. Let's say I needed one 3 3/4 inches in from the end. So I hook my tape measure over the end and pull it tight. 3 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, draw my mark. I put one up top. I'm going to put one down at the bottom, 3 inches, 1/4, 2/4, 3/4. Draw that second mark. Take my straight edge, line them up, and draw the line. Then I can cut it, and I know that that's parallel. There you go. Have a good day. Go build something cool.